Let's have a look at the qualifying results. Looks like Mr. Mike is qualifying P1, so we'll be starting there. 137.4 held up pretty well against TM91 there, who got second on the grid for that. Weasley will be starting third, and then we got Craig starting in fourth. Amazing starts fifth. We got RB Racing will start sixth. LOC Pizza will start 7, got a pretty good time up there. Jack will start 8 on the grid. Roscoe's going to start ninth. We got Nate there starting 10th. We got LLC Silky start 11. Kev will start 12. Jembek will start 13. And Stop starts 14. Stone Cold will have to start down in 15th since he got the slowest time there with a 141.2. Not overly of a bad time, but still didn't hold up too well with Mr. Mike's 137.4 that he got for provisional pole there. So 1998 McLaren is what we're using in this race session. We're about to get started with that in just a bit. So let's wait for the grid to just get loaded, and then we should get going on track. Okay, so there we go down into turn 1. Let's see who gets a better start. So Team 91 still in second as he gets behind Mr. Mike and gets around turn 1 here right now. Trying to go around the outside. As we can see, you have the probably inside the next turn, but actually doesn't get it done. Still has to hold on to second. Mr. Mike still holds on to the lead by about 5/10 and going on through. Amazing running in third. Still, we got cars trying to get position up down at the back there as well, but quite a bit of contact might be happening. I'm not sure, so trying to have a look at the back, see how well that's going there right now. Silky there in 10th, having a pretty close gap with Kev trying to get up into 9th if possible at this point here. Out in front, I think lead will start to extend just a bit. Of course, Craig they're losing some time to Amazing. He's about 8/10 behind, where most of his other drivers are just a bit closer up. Jack here in 6th right now, still trying to keep up with Weasel as much as he can. And Gap is getting pretty close, but let's see if he's going to be able to bring it down under 2/10 and possibly get it up. And LOC Fisher seems to have gotten a position up. We got an issue down at the back of the grid. Let's see if we can have a look what's happening. Someone's car is down at the side of the track here, and that is Kev out of the race, which has resulted in a virtual safety car, at least for this one. Not sure if this will trigger any sort of stops on track or not. It's a 29 lap race, so let's see if they will decide to do a very early pit stop on this one. It's only the first lap of the race and going into lap 2 very shortly, but still we might see some stops happening, especially if cars do have damage on them. Mr. Mike continues to lead though, going at the end of lap 1 here right now. We got TM91 running in 2nd, Amazing runs 3rd, and Craig running 4th there at the moment. We got Weasel running 5th, Jack in 6th, and Roscoe currently 7th, as it is RB in 10th, and Silky 9th, and sorry, Stub in 10th. So that is us top 10 for now. Get a bit of a gap starting to form down in the back as they get back racing here again. The VSC is currently over, and you see Jim back here trying to keep a close gap with Nate if possible. Let's have a look on board as they get through sector 1 at the moment. Into lap 2 we are right now for 29 laps on this race, and it might actually go away a little more quickly than expected, but we'll see how that's going to work. We got LOC Pizza into the pits down in the back here. Definitely suffered some damage off of that race start, so he's trying to get back going there right now. We'll see how well that race will go for him. Mr. Mike here out front, still leading now by 9/10, and TM91 seems to be getting a pretty good gap going against Amazing there as well. He's running 3rd and falling back by over 2nd, as we can see there right now. So Craig in 4th, another 9/10 behind. Gaps are starting to form very quickly between the drivers as we have it. Now Weasel here running about half a second behind Craig, so he's trying to keep up as much as he can, but of course he has a line of cars coming behind of him, so we're going to see how that is working out for him there. As it stands for now, a pretty close gap between most of our drivers as we can see, but still they're trying to keep the gaps under a second as much as they can. Out in front, Team 91 has gotten his gap back down. I'm trying to have a look on board right now to see what exactly is happening, and he might have a pretty good run down that straight, especially if he gets in the slipstream. You can see Mr. Mike pulling to the right side and pulling back to the left. He's trying to keep TM91 out of the slipstream to just not give him any sort of advantage as they get into lap 3 here right now. Bit of a gap more starting to form with Amazing falling a bit back behind. 1.2 seconds is what the gap is between him and TM91 for now. We got Weasel and Craig having a bit of an issue, so they did a switch. Not sure if they had any contact with each other or not. But so far, so good on that race start. It has been pretty interesting. Only one driver out so far. That's kept there. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who he was involved with that incident. If he was involved with someone or not. But we'll have a look later on in the race, see what's happening. So he's there 29 seconds now behind Fisher because he did do a very early stop. I think just to probably get some damage repaired off of the car. I'm not sure. Going back out in front right now with TM91. He's chasing after Mr. Mike very, very closely at the moment. Trying to see how close that gap is going to get, and he keeps getting purple sectors. So Mr. Mike might be in line of losing that position. Trying to cut it a bit on the inside to get some somewhat of an advantage, at least by a tenth, hopefully to gain some time. And still trying to keep in that slipstream, as you can see, going down that bit straight, but not sure how much is actually helping him right now. He's getting pretty close behind the cargo at the end of at least that straight, just in the braking zone, but still a gap is about 3 to 4 tenths between them, so that might continue on for quite a few laps more before he can attempt to actually get that overtake done with. So still following on with TM91, still chasing after Mr. Mike as we see right now. Amazing still there in third, has gained some time actually. He's now about 5 tenths behind, and he's catching up at a decent pace. So let's see how well he's actually able to get, if he's able to get any closer and possibly get an overtake done maybe into second place. We don't see any penalties being handed out on track as yet, so everyone's keeping it as clean as possible as they can. Still a bit of a train with all the cars going on through. As you can see, top three still pretty close together, within 4 to 5 tenths of each other and going on through, and TM91 really trying to keep up with Mr. Mike, who is definitely keeping a bit of a decent gap out front. He's trying to get that gap back over a second if possible at this point here, but I think he's having a bit of trouble doing that. Even running in a clean air out in front, the slipstream is what's helping these cars down that pit straight, as you can see. Amazing, trying to come alongside TM91 to get an overtake done, and did not get that through it, but he's gonna try again. Try on board a few right now and have a look how close he's actually getting. Now these cars are a little bit difficult to drive, as I found out myself, especially when you have certain settings off with assist. Definitely it's going to be very sleepy on track with them, so gotta give it to them for keeping these cars this stable so far going through. So doing pretty well, I gotta say, at least for the drivers. And I think we got a bit of a switch up happening down with stop down in the back there, and probably Roscoe as well. Oh, what's up with the Roscoe and Silky? I think we got our first penalty on track there. 3-second penalty goes to Roscoe right now for, I think, exceeding track limits there. Gap is still pretty close off between the top three, as we have it between Mr. Mike leading, TM91 in second, Amazing there in third, about 4 tenths and 7 tenths respectively as they have it. So they're still fighting for positions. And we can see TM91 still getting purple sectors here right now, so he's still running an excellent race, trying to get another position up if he can. Gap is now about an even 6 tenths between at least the top three, as you can see. Gaps are just starting to form just a bit between the rest of the drivers going further down the grid. As you can see, Weasel is about 1.6 seconds behind Craig, about 2.2 seconds. Jack Parner in 6th, he's about 1.4 seconds behind Craig right now. So they're starting to fall back just a bit. Well, stop there, keeping a very close gap with Roscoe for ninth place. He's trying to fight for that position and now gets a penalty himself. Nate as well in 11 gets a penalty, so they're kind of starting a bit of train with that. So we'll see if that's going to catch and more penalties will come into play on this. We're on lap 6 right now. This race going through. Still have quite a way more to go before we get to the end. And we're definitely going to see what's going to happen, if we're going to have any full safety cars in this race or not. It is possible with the way things can go, but these cars are still pretty close off, not too far away, especially out front. Gaps are pretty close. Going back down to stop doing 10th here. Let's see what he's doing, because getting very close to Roscoe right now. He's trying to keep the gap under about half a second if he can right now, but of course LOC Silky just in front of them by about a few tenths and trying to get over a second if he can. So trying to see how well that is working out. Out in front, gaps are starting to go just a bit again. TM91 still trying to keep within a second of Mr. Mike Doe. Let's see if he's going to be able to get that done. As it stands right now, he's trying and he's going a bit up, so he might not be doing the best of job trying to keep that position as he has it there, because Amazing actually falling back quite a bit though. He's off by a second behind, and Weasel another 1.2 second, and Craig still falling a bit more, 3.1 seconds behind. Jack there getting within a second of Craig right now, so he's trying to catch up as much as he can to possibly get that position up. Back on here with Stop though as he goes down that pit straight, keeping just behind the rear of Roscoe, and might be looking to get an overtake done in the braking zone coming up, because he is on the inside and he's going to push on through that, and let's see if that's going to work for him. But I think Roscoe might have outbraked him just a bit. See if that actually worked or not. So he did get it for a second, but lost the position back there. He's going to go side by side once again through the next straight and see if he's going to get this, but doesn't look like he might. And we got a yellow flag situation going on track there as well. Gap is down to about 210, so let's see how well they actually hold that up going through. Alright, so back up out in front, Mr. Mike now gets the fastest lap going through, and he's about 1.1 seconds ahead of TM91 as it is right now. Still a pretty close gap if you look at it from TM91's perspective. I think he wants to get back under a second to possibly try and get that overtake done if he can get away with the lead of this race. I'm not sure as yet. We're into lap 8 of 29, so still about at least about 21 and a half laps more so to go before we do get it. It's quite a way more. Weasel here in fourth, definitely trying to get a position up, but still needs to break that gap down, and it's about 8 tenths right now. So let's see how the race progresses on through, because Jack here is still keeping up with Craig as much as he can. Of course, not as close as a gap as he had earlier on. It's now currently about 6 tenths between the two of them. He's still trying to fight for that position, really trying to keep it up if he can right now. And unfortunately, we can see LOCPZ is out of the race. He was quite a way back. I'm not sure if he retired or not, because I'm just noticing that he's out there. So that leaves us with about 14 drivers in here right now. Back up to RB Racing here, about 5 tenths behind Jack. Jack is trying to keep up with Craig as much as he can, so he's not going to be too happy about RB Racing catching up to him. Let's have a look on board behind. I see RB is coming up right up along, trying to get alongside him. So that's not going to be going too well for him there. He's going to have to be a bit careful about the car coming behind now and focus on getting ahead of Craig out in front at the same time here. So he's going to have to be just a bit careful and not to make any sort of mistake right now, especially to get a penalty would be a bit disastrous to him. Out in front, Mr. Mike still leads this race by about 9 tenths right now against TM91. Amazing running another 2.9 seconds behind in third, so he's falling quite a way back. And so has the rest of the grid away from those two out in front. They're running pretty well and keeping the gap as close as they can. Jack and RB still a pretty close gap between the two of them, and with Craig just in front of them here. So Nate down with the back there in 12. He's trying to catch up with Jembeck as much as possible. Gap is about 4 tenths between them. And we got someone going a bit wide. I think that was Craig there. You can have a pretty good look at these two coming up behind of him. That's Jack and RB Racing behind Craig. About 4 to 5 tenths is what the gap is between the three of them. I think it's the closest gap we have at the moment between these three cars. As you can see, RB Racing trying to pull alongside outside, but he can't do it right now. I'm gonna go back down, or at least on the overhead cam, see what's happening. Into lap 10 right now, the race leaders have gone. So starting to get quite a way into this race. They've done about 9 laps average now on that set of tires that they started the race on. No pit stops on them so far. Let's see how much they actually can push on these set of tires and go on through the race here. Still about a decent gap between these three cars as we have it out in front. TM91 still chasing after Mr. Mike there for the lead, but not able to get that away with him as yet. Gap is still up to 9 tenths and probably going over a second, so he needs to get a gap down as much as possible if he does want to have that overtake done. Amazing still falling back by quite a bit. It's now down to about 3 seconds behind in third. Still holds on to that position without a penalty, so still not looking too bad for that. And that is Jack getting a penalty for going a little bit too off track. Gets back on, but that penalty will cost him there now. RB Racing will definitely know what's happening in that situation and will try to get ahead of him. Well, at least try to keep up with him as much as he can. Fastest lap is being switched around between a few drivers out front there. And it looks like RB might have missed his braking zone just a bit as he lost some time going through turn 1 there. So he's now down by a second. Jack is still up with his gap about 4 to 5 tenths. About 6 tenths, but he's still keeping up with Craig as much as he can out in front. TM91 losing a bit of time, at least about 2 tenths so far from the last time we checked in with him. And you can see Craig starting to go a bit wide here as well, so definitely feeling a bit of pressure coming off the car behind. So let's see how well that's going to hold up going on through. Alright, so RB Racing seems to be getting pretty close right now to Jack. He's gained the time very, very quickly into lap 12 right now. We are definitely looking to get that position up if he can. Get on board a bit to see what's happening here. If this is going to go well for him or not, because Jack is trying to defend his position there in 6 as much as he can. He's lost a bit of time to Craig out front, still trying to keep up with him though. And he does have that penalty to worry about. So let's see how this goes down, because he's trying to keep RB out of his slipstream down the straight. As you can see, TM91 now getting the fastest lap there. And it did look like Jack was about to go into the pits, but changed his mind very, very last minute on that one there. And it seems like RB wanted to follow him in. So a bit of a tricky situation going on track. We're on lap 13 right now. Mr. Mike still leads TM91, still in second. Amazing still running third. Weasel still in fourth. Craig there fifth, still Jack trying to pull a bit of a trick move on RB there, making him think he was going to the pits, but actually didn't. Pulled off that line just at the last second there. Not sure how safe that was in terms of racing. There goes Jack a bit off track again. He's trying to keep the position up as much as possible. He is now back about 4 tenths behind Craig though, and RB still about 7 tenths behind him. I think one of the closest gap we got. Let's go back out in front for a second, see what's happening between TM91 and Mr. Mike there. For the lead of the race, gap is back down below a second, now down to about 6 tenths. Looks like TM91 is gaining some time. Not sure where he's finding the pace from, but he has found some sort of advantage, and he's getting up pretty close up behind. Will have a bit of an advantage on the slipstream if he gets into that. Let's see if that's going to work going down the straight. And next straight coming up is the pace straight going around into lap 14. They're about to go right now. Let's call it about the halfway point of this race. Still working with about an 8-10th gap right now between Mr. Mike and TM91 for the lead. I think this might actually just continue all the way to the end of the race, because it doesn't seem like they're able to get a gap under about at least 4 tenths. So TM91 having a bit of a difficult time with that. Two drivers still out of this race so far as we have it. We got Jack into the pits down in the back there. That's going to put RB up into 5th right now, and so will the rest of the drivers who are behind them. Everyone goes up one position at least for now, so let's see if the rest of the race goes on through. Down here at Roscoe in P8, chasing after a stop for 7th, about 5 tenths where the gap is. Keeping as close as he can right now, but not sure what the situation with the tires are going to be right now. They might start to be having a bit of wear on them. So trying to have a look and not see what it looks like here right now. And that I think is amazing with the fastest lap so far. So far in this race going pretty well. Only 2 drivers out. Still got 14 to finish out the race. We're on lap 15 and going right now. Let's get back out front. We got quite a few pit stops happening here. We got RB and Craig both into the pits. a pretty fast stop as we can see, and they're getting back out. So Mr. Mike still leads out front, hasn't done a pit stop as yet. Team 91 still chasing him down for first place, and about 4 tenths is what the gap is, so neither of them doing a stop as yet. Amazing running third. Silky now up to fourth. Weasel has done a stop, he's down to fifth. Craig behind him done a stop, down to sixth. And Jim back there running 7th, has not done any stops as yet. Fisher there running 14th. I think he's done one stop so far in this race. Actually, have a look at that here right now. And how many drivers have done? Actually, no, he has not done a stop. I think he's just a bit behind trying to get across the line there for that time. And these are position changes as we have it so far in this race. And looks like it's been Jim back gaining the most so far at this point. Well, actually, no, Silky gained the most. But of course, Mr. Mike and TM91 have not done any stops in this race as yet, and they have well, they're still in the position right there where they started. So let's see how that goes on with the rest of the race now. So gap still about 4 tenths between Mr. Mike and TM91 as we're trying to have a look. Somebody's going into the pits, and that's TM91. Mr. Mike will continue on out. He might do a pit stop after this one if he knows that the driver behind just went in. And let's see how that's going to work for him. We're going to keep on him at least for now, going around the track and see what the situation is going to be when TM91 comes back out and where he's going to be back. But actually, let's have a look here. He's getting back out right now. Amazing is behind him in the pits here as well. And looks like Silky is now going to go up to 2nd place. And that is TM91 out there in 3rd and running. So Mr. Mike still leads, hasn't done a stop. Silky now into 2nd, hasn't done a stop either. TM91 running in 3rd right now, and he's just finished his stop. So let's see if Mr. Mike does decide to do a pit stop on this current lap that he's on. And he's in sector 2 right now of the track, getting through lap 16 of 29. So I'm going to be very interested to see if he actually decides to do a pit stop or not. Gap is about 21.9 seconds as you can see between Mr. Mike and Silky here. So I think he has enough time actually to do the stop right now and get back out in front. And looks like he's going to take the dive in and go for that pit stop. Let's see if it's going to be a fast one or not. Because he needs to get this pretty quickly and get back out on track to keep it ahead of TM91. Even though if Silky gets by, that's not going to be an issue for him because Silky will have to take a stop either way. We got Silky coming around down the pit straight right now along with TM91 behind. It looks like they will be behind him. So as far as we can see, Silky gets ahead of Mr. Mike for the lead, but TM91 gets a bit closer now to Mr. Mike for that 2nd place as we have it, but that's going to be for the lead in just a bit when Silky does decide to do his stop. So we're back with a gap of about 4 to 5 tenths between these two again, and Jack Pond is out of the race. What's happened to his car? Trying to have a look right now, and I think he might have retired in the pits on that one there. From what you can see, looks like Jack retired in the pits. I'm not sure what's the reason behind it, but he is out of the race. So something's definitely happening in that situation. Back up here with TM91 chasing after Mr. Mike right now. So let's see what that gap is going. And let's just ignore the car on track. That's not McLaren 1998. Oh, it's still about a 4:10 gap between these two, and that might just continue, as you said, all the way to the end of the race. Lap 17 or 29 right now. It might just depend on penalties when that does happen. So we're going to see what happens in that case there. Gotta say, quite impressed with the way these guys are keeping these cars stable on track, as I know they're very, very slippery. Okay, so now into lap 19 of 29 right now. Still, our gap is about 4 tenths between Mr. Mike and TM91. We got Silky still leading the race. He's done 18 laps on that set of tires right now, and is it looks like he might be losing that position pretty shortly if he doesn't take a pit stop here, because he's starting to lose some time. Or it's just that Mr. Mack is catching it up to him pretty quickly. Gap is about 5 tenths between the two of them. I think he's trying to keep out front us for as long as he can here right now before doing a stop. And let's see how further down that's going to put him. Might put him down to about 7th on the grid. I'm not sure what's going to happen in that case. TM91 seems to have gotten past Mr. Mike here right now, so I'm not sure how that quickly that happened. I think they just missed that. And I think Mr. Mike might have made a mistake on that car there, so let's see if he's able to catch back up to TM91. TM91 will be pretty happy about that at this point in the race right now for that to happen. So he's trying to get a lead back out front now, and he's possibly doing that because gap is now about a second between the two of them. I think he's trying to get past Silky out in front to possibly try to keep Mr. Mike down behind just a bit. So let's have a look and see how that's working out for him. Could be an interesting strategy to play at that point. RB Racing was 7 tenths behind. Craig gets another penalty there, of course, so not going too well on that end for him. That is fastest lap so far for TM91, so doing pretty well. Down behind, we can see Mr. Mike coming about 1.2 seconds behind. So he is not running as well as expected there right now. Gap is now down to about 10th or 2 between Silky and TM91, so he might definitely be looking to get ahead into the lead and keep Silky between himself and Mr. Mike, at least for a lap or two more if he can. We're on to lap 20 right now. And Mr. Mike is starting to catch back up. Gap is now down to about 8 tenths there right now. I think he has finally composed himself and he's back onto full racing speed, trying to catch back up and get back his position right now in this race. Down with the rest of the grid, I think is a bit spaced off as most as we can see. We'll try to have a look at that just a bit, see what's happening out front. Team 91 might be looking to get by Silky if he can. I'm about to get into lap 21, so he might want to get this done quickly if he's going to attempt to do that there right now. Alright, so down the pit straight they go into lap 21. Let's see if he's able to get close enough to actually get him in the braking zone. And that's amazingly the fastest lap so far. Gap is just a 10th and he's trying to get him on the inside. And actually he holds back, and there goes Mr. Mike getting between of them, and he gets back up into second, now fighting to get up into the lead of the race and might be losing back that position as Team 91 comes back alongside him. And we got a bit of contact between them. Team 91 goes off track and loses the car, has a lot of runoff room, so gets back going again, but has lost an extra position here right now, and that's 2 extra positions. He's now down to 5th. And at this point in the race, that's not a good place to be. So he's lost a lot of time and 2 positions with that. So he's down to 5th, and Mr. Mike is now up into 2nd, back where he wanted to be. Gap is about 4 tenths between him and Silky out in front, who was still not pitted in this race as yet. TM91 running about 8 tenths behind Weasel now. And Amazing now up to 3rd in this race, and he's running some pretty good lap times. So he might stand a good chance of actually catching up to Mike out front. Have a look at what the gap is like though, because actually going back down to Craig here, a pretty close gap between him and RB for 6th place in the race, and Craig has no penalties, so and he just goes a bit wide and actually gets a penalty on that one there. Might have been my fault for calling that one out, but I think I got about 2 penalties at the same time. Let's have a look. If it was 1 or 2, no, just 1 penalty for him. But we can traverse from 6 to 10, all with penalties as we have it. And Mike up into the lead of the race right now with Silky down to second. Those tires are definitely trying to tell on him there just right now. And I think he's probably trying to keep them on for a bit more as well. But we got about 7 laps or so more to go in the race. And there goes RB quite a bit wide on track. Gets back on track though, but Craig is now right up onto the rear of that car and trying to get up into 6 still. Didn't get the position even though RB went a bit wide. I think he did get a penalty for that there as well. Team 91 with multiple penalties there right now, running in, where is he right now? Running in 5th. And having a bit of a difficult time still catching up to Weasel there for 4th if he can. So he might have to finish this race right there. I'm not sure. No having a penalty as well. Another penalty added to his time. Out in front, Mike leads by about 2.6 seconds with Silky running second there. Amazing running third. Another 7 tenths behind. So keep an eye on that gap as we have it here right now. See what's happening with that situation out front. Weasel here in 4th, running another 4 seconds behind. So let's see what's happening. Silky falling down the order as those tires are very, very old on the car. I think it's starting to show that we're even on track there. So those tires definitely starting to go on him right now because 22 laps done on him so far. It's a 29 lap race, so I'm not sure what his plan is with the tires itself. We'll see what exactly he's planning to do with that. Because right now it's just about average about 6 laps left in the race to go. And he's done 22 laps on the tires as we have it. He's now 1.5 seconds behind Amazing. So that's Mike leading. Amazing up to second. Both of them no penalties. Silky running third, no penalty. And Weasel now runs fourth with no penalty as well. TM91 down to 5th after his bit of contact with Mr. Mike a few laps ago. And he's down to 5th and with, I think, with 2 penalties. I think about 6 seconds total. No, actually still 1 penalty for him. I thought he did get a second penalty on that one. So still a 1 penalty for him. RB with a penalty as well for 3 seconds. Craig another 3 seconds. Stop there 9 seconds. Roscoe 6. And Nate not doing so well with 14 seconds of penalties. Remaining drivers don't have any as they have it right now. So let's see how everyone gets off to the end of the race. And that's amazing. Another fastest lap from him. So he's doing pretty well out front, catching up to Mike right now. Not sure if he's going to be able to have enough laps to catch up to get the fight for the lead of the race, but he's actually catching up just a bit by a tenth or 2 on each lap that we go here, because he's down to about 2.4 seconds right now with a gap between him and race leader there. So he's still in 3rd place. He's ahead of Weasel by 2.4 seconds on 23 laps done on those tires so far. So let's see how much longer he's actually able to hold on with those tires going to the end here. TM91 not having the best of race in 5th right now with a 3-second penalty and running 9 tenths behind Weasel. So definitely still trying to get up and get that position back if he can. Get on board a bit and see what's happening on track. Alright, so we got Nate getting very close after Roscoe. Let's see what's happening with these two down in the back here. Suddenly they've gotten pretty close gap. And gap, I think we just lost that very quickly there. I think Nate was actually getting about 2 tenths behind him to try and get a position up. Maybe Roscoe made a mistake. I'm not sure, but he's back going again and he's gotten his gap back up quite a bit. So it doesn't look like that's actually going to go anywhere. Let's get back up here with TM91. About 7-8 tenths behind with the car in front of him. Let's keep an eye on these three as they go on through. We got Silky, Weasel, and TM91 pretty close off together on lap 25 right now going. It's a bitter battle for third place, I assume, here right now. Silky trying to keep that position, but loses it to Weasel. TM91 coming just behind them there as well, so let's see if that's going to work out. So Weasel is up to third in the race and going right now. We got Silky and TM91 going side by side down in the back here, fighting it for fourth place right now. TM91 definitely wants to get that position up, and especially with Silky having done 25 laps on the tires already, so if he knows that, he will know he'll be at a bit of a disadvantage and will try to get that position away from him. His tires being only 9 laps old so far, but still down there in 5th, not able to get ahead as yet. As I'm trying to have a look right now, he's trying to push it on the inside, but just wants to be a bit careful. Just about 3.5 laps left to go in the race, so needs to get a move on with this if he's able to get that position up before the end of the race here. Going through turn 10 here right now on lap 26, and a bit of minor contact between the two of them. I don't think anybody took any damage there. So I think someone might be glitching just a bit. They're just lagging, I'm not sure. Either way, Silk is still running in 4th here. Let's see how well this is going to go when they do get around to the pit straight. I think Team 9 was trying to avoid any more penalties at this point here right now. So down the pit straight, they're getting pretty close. Our gap is going to go at least about 2 tenths down. I don't think the braking zone will work for him, so he's going to have to just hold off in P5 still for now. As we get on through the rest of the race. Out in front, Amazing has caught up quite a bit to Mr. Mike. He's 1.9 seconds behind. Weasel quite a bit away behind, though he's 7 seconds behind. So they're not too worried about him. But out in front for P1, if Mr. Mike does get a penalty, that will give the race away over to Amazing for the win. Well, let's see how that goes. Weasel looking pretty good at getting third place on the podium. Silky there, 1.6 seconds behind, but those tires are pretty old. 26 laps he's done on them so far. And he's under pressure right now from TM91 of losing that position there. 4 tenths is what the gap is, and TM is not giving up on this one. Roscoe getting pretty close after Nate there from 9th. We'll keep an eye on see how that goes. And there goes Silky, goes a bit wide through turn 10. And looks like he's going to lose the position right now to Team 91, who takes back on the racing line. Up into 4th he goes, and Silky down to 5th right now. So that bit of mistake has cost him a position in the race. I'm not sure he's going to be too happy about it, but let's see how the rest of the race goes on through. Okay, so into lap 28, the race leaders are going there right now with 1.6 seconds being the gap between Mr. Mike and Amazing out in front for the lead here. And I don't think he might be able to get away with taking away that lead, but he definitely should be able to finish there in second. But still a pretty interesting fight between them as he's gotten that gap down very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see if he can actually push a bit further on that. I think that's possibly the closest gap we have on track here right now. I think Jembeck and Roscoe just switched position. Roscoe down to 11th on the track there right now, so I'm not sure what's happening down in the back. Trying to have a look if we can, and that is Roscoe having a bit of trouble with the car. He did go off just a bit there. And amazing, about 2.5 seconds right now behind Mr. Mike here and going through. And we'll be going into the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix here pretty soon. So it has been quite an interesting race. We've lost 3 drivers so far in it. I don't think LSC Fisher is supposed to be racing, or he's just chosen the wrong car when he got into the session. Not sure what happened in that situation, but he's not driving one of the 1998 McLarens that we're supposed to be using for this race. So probably have to count him out of this. So we're counting down to 12 drivers remaining here. So let's see how that's going to go into the final lap here. Lap 29. 2.2 seconds between Mr. Mike and Amazing as they go on one final time around the track. Bit of a yellow flag through sector 1 there for some reason. Let's see how that goes. So 2 seconds is where the gap is right now between them. And I'm going to go on board a bit with Mr. Mike here, see how he's getting through the lap. It doesn't look like he'll be able to break that down any further than what it is there right now. He's getting purple sectors right now. That's Roscoe's having a bit of trouble down the back of the track there still. Doesn't look like Amazing might be keeping fastest lap for the race as we see it here, so I'm not sure what that's going through. I'm going to keep an eye on him and keep on board a bit as he goes through the final lap to see if he's able to get any closer. And at this point it doesn't look like he might. We got quite a few drivers with penalties, just a few without, at least about 4 drivers no penalties in the race so far, so not too bad with that situation as it is. I'm going to go back with Mr. Mike out front, has led majority of this race from the start to this point. Just I think when Silky was leading, that's the only time he didn't get to the lead. There are quite a few laps, and that's what about it. He's led most of the race, ahead by 1.9 seconds. Just one more turn to get around, and he's kept a quite a distance actually from the cars behind of him, and it's allowed Amazing to stay just over 2 seconds behind, and now takes the win for the Bahrain Grand Prix. That's Amazing going across the line, takes 2nd place on the podium for that. And there goes the fireworks there. Weasel will come across the line to take 3rd on the podium, and not a bad finish for him, even though about 7.5 seconds behind. Let's see how the penalties are going to work themselves out, because TM91 comes across the line 4th so far. There goes RB Racing taking 5th. LSC Silky will take 6th in the race so far as we have it. I can put penalties on for it, forget about that. So Silky takes 6, Craig coming across right now to take 7th place in the race. Looks like Stone Cold takes 11th, Roscoe takes 12, Craig takes 7, Stubb will come across and take 8. I think everyone should finish just where they are on track there right now, so just waiting for them to get across the line. Alright, so Stubb takes 7, Craig goes down to 8 right now, Nate will take 9th, and looks like Jim Beck will take 10th in this race. I think he's about to get around the final turn there right now before getting across the line, and Nate has a 5-second unserved penalty. Alright, so let's have a look at the final results before we do get off this session. Alright, so driver of the day looks like it goes to Stubb for that. Not too bad a drive for him. And quite a bit of costume there from Mr. Mike. Not even sure how they allowed the driver to wear that sort of driving suit in the car. quite uncommon. Alright, here's the results for the Bahrain Grand Prix, round 9 of 10 for League of Champions Classic Mondays. We got Mr. Mike taking the win for that one there in the 1998 McLaren, and as everyone else drove as well. Amazing takes second place on the podium. Weasel takes third, and we got TM91 finishes fourth after a bit of an incident earlier on. RB Racing takes fifth, LOC Silky will take sixth, Stops takes seventh, and driver of the day. And then looks like Jembeck takes 8, Nate will take 9, Stone Cold takes 10, Roscoe there 11, Craig there 12. I don't think Fisher was in this. Jack didn't finish, Pisa didn't finish, and Kev did not get to finish the race. Did it show fastest lap? I'm trying to have a look at that. I'm not sure if it showed faster, but I think Amazing might have gotten the fastest lap on that one there. Anyway, thank you guys for joining on with us here on IG8Live Esports. Do follow us on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. And make sure you guys are following the League of Champions Twitch channel there as well.